Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be chatting all about style trends for 2024 and more specifically how you can incorporate these trends into your everyday style. Now, I am partnering with Goelia on this video. You'll know how much I love the brand. I've been working with them for almost a year now, and I do have a discount code for 25% off site-wide, which is Jamie25. I'm going to have that on screen, all the details linked down below, but throughout the video you're going to see me styling some of their new in pieces alongside these trends that I'm talking about. And I will say that some of my favorite pieces right now are their knitwear. They've got the most beautiful knits. In particular, this cable knit sweater, which I did size up in to get more of a slouchy feel, and also I feel like they really nail that kind of quiet luxury aesthetic, in particular through their striped pieces, so this beautiful striped knit cardigan, and also this wool jacket with ornate buttons. Now, I've categorized the trends for 2024 into two parts. So the first being more style clothing based, and then the second part being more accessories based. And one thing I did notice is that there is a little bit of a crossover in terms of 2023 trends continuing through to 2024, which is wonderful because we love to see it and love to see new ways to reimagine the clothing that we bought in the last year to make it feel modern and fresh. So kind of in that vein, one of the trends that I really loved in 2023 was sheer, and I'm glad to see that it's come back, and more interestingly, it's actually also come back in more of that workwear aesthetic. So how can we wear sheer to the office? Now, I personally think that a really great way to do this is just with a blouse or a top that has a bit of a sheer component to it and wearing some sort of a camisole underneath for modesty. You get that nice sort of sheer element, but you're all covered up at the same time, just pairing it back with some workwear trousers. However, you could also go for a sheer skirt, so that's another option if you were so brave and just wearing it with another color slip skirt underneath. That's definitely probably one of my favorite ways that I have seen this styled. But if you wanted to incorporate this for the weekend, I really love this little set that I've got from Dish, which has the sheer knit top. You could wear it just with a bralette underneath if you were feeling especially bold, and then pairing it with the skirt and then the oversized blazer. Kind of feels a little bit preppy, but then the oversized blazer feels a bit more modern because we have lent into those more relaxed silhouettes over the years. So that is trend number one, and I'm actually curious if this is one that you think you will try yourself. Second, we are starting to see the rise, the emergence of the bows and the girl core aesthetic. So think hyper feminine, really big full skirts, which is kind of another trend unto itself, and just bows everywhere. Now, I think that this is a very specific trend. I feel like in 2023 we really saw the rise of the core aesthetic, Barbie core, ballet core, girl core, now kind of coming through into 2024. And if this is not your personal style but you want to draw elements or components from it into your outfits, there are a few ways that you could do this. One would be thinking about how you can incorporate into your hair. So one of the style trends that I really like, or beauty trends perhaps you would call it, is seeing girls upcycling the ribbon from luxury packaging and then tying it into their hair. But you could also buy a clip to achieve the same effect, or even just use a plain ribbon. Either way, I think that this is quite sweet and it adds that kind of feminine girly touch without being over the top. Another way would be to look for subtle nods in your clothing. So I mean, when I think about clothing brands and ones that are kind of going all out, I'm thinking Simone Rocha, I'm thinking Garni with that iconic top with the bows down the center, and that is a louder way to participate in this trend, but kind of a quieter, more softer approach would be to wear something like this Goelia dress, which is in a cotton poplin. It's a really beautiful color that isn't kind of pastel, so it doesn't scream hyper feminine. You can see that it's got other stylistic details to it, the tiered skirt, the little cutter, and it's got this little knot in the center of the bust. And to me, this just feels very subtle, very kind of subdued, and an easy way to incorporate this trend into your look. We're seeing a real rise of quite preppy outfits, and also the return of the polo. And you may have noticed this maybe even in your own tastes and preferences, that you're maybe adding a polo to your wardrobe. And it kind of took me back to when I was in my teenage years, and I don't know if anyone ever did this, but the double polo tops, you know, so you got the collar popping twice. That was a whole phase in and of itself, and it's sort of interesting because we're seeing that come back in more of an elevated, elegant way. So Miu Miu, I think, did this really well, but with the collared shirt underneath a polo knit sweater. And I think this is a very chic way to do it and a chic way to layer in a new and fresh way. And I particularly love that, especially when combined with a little mini skirt. I think it feels a little bit flirty and fun. And this is a great thing that you can easily do with items that you already own. Another way to easily incorporate this preppy trend is that 90s style where you have one knitwear piece on and then you've thrown another one over your shoulders, just like a layering piece. Maybe it's functioning as a scarf, but you've got it just casually thrown over your shoulders. Maybe it's knotted in the center. And I quite like this. It also has that kind of old money, quite luxury vibes, which is another trend we're going to talk about very soon. But I think that that's a really simple way to incorporate this into your look. You could also throw on a blazer as well as another layering piece. Very, very easy to replicate as well. Now, we all know that fashion is cyclical and things tend to come back in waves. And what we're seeing right now with kind of a lot of economic and financial uncertainty is that there is this real push towards minimalism and more quieter aesthetics, things that are classic, that are going to kind of last and stand the test of time. I really like this because it feels a little bit more reflective of my own wardrobe. So this is one I've been leaning on so heavily over the past couple of years. It's fun when something you love to wear is on trend. And I have kind of noticed that there are two sides to this. So there's kind of that quiet luxury side, which is those really expensive, luxurious basics, classic styles that are very unassuming, quite quiet, and have no logos visible. It is kind of basic to its core. But then we've also got elevated basics. And when I think of this, I'm thinking about pieces that are basic styles and silhouette and maybe also in the color palette. But then when you look at them a little bit closer, you can see that they've got style flourishes that make them feel really special. The knit that I'm wearing right now would be a great example of this because it is just a basic merino top, but it has this off-shoulder detail and this knotted effect here just on the arm, which kind of makes it feel elevated, which does make it feel more refined and like there is something very special about it. So I've got a few different examples that I'm going to be showing you on screen of different ways that you can sort of reflect this trend in your own wardrobe. So you can kind of see those classic stripes there from Goelia, which I think are really chic, especially when worn with shorts, and it kind of just elevates them a little bit, but very quiet, unassuming, not loud or shouty at all. Then we've got other pieces which have that sort of special flourish. So I've got this top from Tove, which is a fitted camisole and it has ruching on it and polka dots. So it kind of has these little stylistic components that make it feel a little bit different and a little bit more unique. And the thing is, I'm sure many of us already have these pieces in our wardrobe, so right now it's all about kind of highlighting them, heroing them, and making them the core part of the outfit. Next trend is kind of granddad chic or grandpa chic, as I've seen the word kind of thrown around a little bit, and this sort of draws on components of that preppy trend that I mentioned earlier, but with a bit more of a slouchy aesthetic. So think plaid, tartan, v-neck cardigans that are buttoned up but worn a little bit loose in a slightly sexier way. I think my favorite way that I've seen this worn has been with denim and then a cardigan that has been worn with most of the buttons undone. So maybe you've got a really pretty bralette or something like that underneath, but you're revealing a little bit of skin, and I think this is just a little bit flirty, fun. It feels playful. It doesn't feel too serious at all. And then you maybe wear a loafer or a ballet flat on your feet and kind of be done with it. And I think that's quite a chic way to do it. The other option would be maybe to go with a sweater vest, which I think is also really fun. There's so many great options out there if you want something that's a little bit more vibrant and colorful, and pairing that back with a plaid trouser. So you could also do some clashing, some print mixing here if you wanted to, if that was sort of your vibe. But again, I think that kind of plaid tartan trouser, great way to kind of draw in on this trend, but you can easily make it your own and really get a little bit imaginative with it. I personally love an all-white outfit year-round, and so I was really excited to see that one of the core trends for 2024 is this concept of winter whites, or just kind of white all year round. And we're seeing this emerge in a few different ways. So the first being the white dress for summer. A lot of designers have really kind of pared back their color palette, and we're seeing a lot of white dresses. And I think this is really beautiful. It kind of signifies purity, simplicity, calm, ease, sophistication, elegance. And even though I've got two young kids, I'm still going to go out and wear the white dress because you can always soak it if it gets a little bit grubby. So I love that, you know, layered with a blazer in a similar color palette and a cream. I just think that is utterly divine. Then we're also seeing it kind of emerge in the suiting style, so a lot of bridal suits in particular, which is great if you are a bride-to-be. I mean, this is a lovely and really sophisticated option if you are considering what you're going to be wearing for one of your bridal events. But we're also seeing it emerge for more of those kind of cooler days, and this is something I really love because I feel like winter, it can be quite dreary, quite kind of blustery, cold, dark, and wearing white, it is so bright, it is calming, it's peaceful. As I said earlier, it signifies purity, and this is a great way to kind of delve into this trend. I really love how this wool knitted jacket from Goelia looks, just paired with those trousers. I think that this is such a chic combination and it feels really effortless as well. Kind of going on from what I mentioned earlier about the suiting, short suits seem to be having a bit of a comeback, and if you follow me on Instagram or you just kind of see my daily outfits, then you'll know that this is something that I personally love to wear, and it does again kind of take me back, it takes me back to my early 20s when I was wearing a lot of these short suits from Karen Walker in really vibrant colors. I'm talking like bright red and prints. I just really loved it. I had a lot of fun with it, and it's something I'm wanting to continue now, but I'm tending to do it in a little bit more of a pared back way. So you can either do this with a short, the ones that I'm wearing here are from Goelia, and you can kind of see I've actually paired it with a silk top from Goelia as well, which has so much interesting and unique texture to it. These shorts actually do come with a belt, but I've worn it without. But if you wanted to define your waist, I think that's a great little addition to have as well. But these are really, really comfortable, and I think a nice length as well. And then just sewing that blazer over the top, it just feels more refined. It feels like it's been elevated a notch, and it's a great way to add that third piece into your outfit. This can instantly up the formality level of your outfit as well, and you can really play around with the length of your shorts. What I like about this is that you can easily mix and match too. You don't necessarily have to go with pieces that are designed to be worn together, and I love that variance of textures. I think that that just adds this element of dimension and visual interest to your outfit too. Final kind of clothing trend is volume and shape, and I think that this is really drawn on our desire to experiment with our outfits and things that sort of break the mold of what we have been told for decades are the ideals and how we should wear our outfits. And obviously a key thing to think about when you are adding volume into your outfit is how can I balance this and make it feel grounded. And I am planning to share some more styling tips on this in the future as well, in case you are curious, but I think that's a really fun one to play around with. I've got this balloon skirt which is from Preppy, and it has the most interesting silhouette to it, and it's quite fun to sort of play that up, but also to tone it down a little bit when I want it to feel a bit more subdued. Now moving on to accessories trends, and I've just got a handful of them, but I just find these really fun. So the first one is this kind of door knocker earring, these really big gold earrings, and not necessarily ones that are the same. They could be asymmetrical, which is honestly something that I love to do anyway, as I think it is such a simple way to add a unique and interesting touch to our styling details. But you're kind of seeing these really huge, enormous statement earrings then worn with things that are a little bit more minimal and pared back. And I feel like this is really drawn on the 80s when we did have those really big door knocker earrings. I mean, I think back to my childhood and some of the earrings my mum had in her jewelry box, and I feel like I'm just seeing all of those memories be revived in this very moment, and that's really, really fun. I've got a few pairs here from Pauline, from Pamela Card, and also from Adornmond, which I feel really embody this trend, and definitely ones that I'm going to be reaching for on higher rotation throughout 2024 for a little bit of fun. Oversized bags, and I mean, does this not take anybody back? I'm actually kind of glad that the micro bags are starting to sort of slowly go away, because aside from the odd cards or lip gloss, there's not really a lot you can use these for. And while I think they're a really great layering and accessory piece, my friend Rose, she does this so well, I do love the practicality, the pragmatism around having a bag that you can just throw everything in, as long as it's not, you know, hurting your shoulders. My very first kind of designer bag purchase was actually a Marc by Marc Jacobs patent leather bag, which I remember buying after seeing Rumi Neely and then also Lulu, I can't remember what her last name was, wear this bag, and I kind of scoured the internet for it, found one, bought it, and I wore that thing to pieces. Like, I think I must have worn that for many, many years, and being in a patent, it was very, very hard wearing. It was very robust. So I have this kind of quilted velvet bag, which I feel is a good nod to this trend. That is going to be one that I'll be wearing on regular rotation to balance out against more minimal outfits. Like having that kind of larger component, that can be an interesting way to also think about elements of silhouette and shape too, in case you were sort of thinking about playing with your proportions. But a fun one, and we probably all have a really big bag tucked away in our wardrobe somewhere that we can pull out for this moment. Final accessories trend is socks and sandals. And look, I know this isn't going to be for everybody, and this is really one which, if you've ever watched a Tibby style class, you will have seen multiple times. Amy loves socks with sandals, and I will say it's one that I have kind of dipped in and out of over the years. I think there are definitely ways to do it that feel really natural, and then there are ways that just feel a little bit off. There are a few key components that I think really make this work. So the first thing being that the sandals that you're reaching for, they should have a decent width to the strap. If they are really dainty, it just kind of adds in too much friction, and both the styles feel like they're headbutting each other. The next thing is that your socks, you either want them to be kind of more like an ankle length, or you want them to be a bit higher. And a lot of the style imagery that I have seen has been with knee-high socks. They're worn with a little kitten heel, which is great, and that's a real fashion moment. But I think for most of us, it probably is a little bit too out there. A great way is to think about more of an ankle sock, where your strap around your ankle is kind of just tying in nicely with where the top of the sock ends. We also want to think about going with a block color sock as opposed to something that is really colorful and too textured, because that's going to add in another sort of visual component to your outfit that you're going to have to consider when you are selecting all of the other pieces, and can end up looking a little bit too busy. So you can see in the example that I've shown, I have worn a really kind of fawn colored sock with a caramel coffee colored sandal with a low heel. And I will say I do really like this trend, particularly when I'm wearing it with trousers. I think it is a really nice way to winterize our heeled sandals and kind of get a little bit more wear out of them. It does also work when you're wearing skirts, and if you don't want to have any additional visual breaks in your outfit, you can always look at pairing these with longer skirts and then wearing socks that do come higher up your legs so that there is no visual break there. But yeah, that is the final trend that I wanted to share. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you got some styling ideas for the 2024 trends. There were so many other trends that I wanted to mention, but I felt like these were the ones that were the most wearable, that we could easily incorporate using items we probably already have in our wardrobe. And I love looking at trend forecasts just because I feel like it's such an interesting, easy way to update the items that we already have to make them feel new again. Now, if you do want to buy anything from Goelia, don't forget I do have that 25% off discount. Jamie25 is going to be on screen down in the description box below, along with everything that I shared in this video. But thank you so much for watching. If you're new here and you want to subscribe, I would love to have you back. Otherwise, you can also sign up for my newsletter, which is also linked down below, where I share monthly capsules featuring 10 items that I show you how to style more than 30 ways. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I will see you next week with a brand new video. See you very soon, and take care. Bye.